Dr. Mahmoud Al-Burai. He is the chairman of the Real Estate Federation over here, and he's got several titles. In fact, I have them all written down. We selected one, but he's done amazing work in the space of SDGs. He works with the American University of Dubai as well to get students aligned in what's happening with sustainable development goals. Great work with RERA. He was the CEO for RERA, which is the Real Estate Regulatory Authority, training brokers in the UAE, and they did amazing work for 10 years. I worked closely with them where they actually had put out the initial regulations to stop the UAE property market really from inflating, and it was beautiful to watch the transformation of Dubai working with teams like Dr. Mahmoud's. So I would love to give the stage to him. It's amazing to follow him on LinkedIn because he posts all these motivational posts on well-being and creating a greener, fairer city, and I'm very excited to hear what he has to share with us today. So the stage is all yours.
So much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I said assalamu alaikum. This in English means peace be upon you, because we're a country that's, as Ayman said, we're about tolerance, respect, peace, and love. So welcome to Dubai, and great to be in a forum called World Dubai. I think Dubai and the world now are becoming Dubai has the word in it. We have 217 nationalities living in Dubai. This is thanks to everyone for being great ambassadors for Dubai and talking about how great it is to live in Dubai. I remember His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid about 15 years ago. He was in one of the graduation ceremonies here in Dubai, and he asked a lady next to me, "Where are you from?" And she said, "I'm from Jordan." He said, "No, you're from Dubai. Anyone who lives in Dubai is part of Dubai. So welcome to Dubai, welcome to the world." I can see my office from here, Dubai Land Department. If you allow me to go through my presentation, and sorry, I'm telling you in advance, I'm going to confuse you. I'm going to take you east and west. I'm going to take you from sustainability to risk, to resilience, to competitiveness, to Dubai, to Africa. But at the end, I want to tell you the story, which is in one slide. This is how we want to build our cities, and this is how we want to live. So, I don't know if...
Give us a moment, Doctor. We're just getting it on.
So let's talk. Any interesting stuff? Did you visit Expo, by the way? Don't miss it. Last few days. And we managed to host the largest expo in the mid of crisis. I think one of the best things we've done here in the UAE is we managed to get the health and economy going well, right? So we control the health issue of COVID. At the same time, we managed to get our economy going forward. So last year we had 300 billion dirhams of real estate transactions in Dubai. So we have a lot of Europeans, and to echo what Ayman said, we have, for the first time, German, French, Austrian coming to Dubai, apart from Russian and Ukrainian. Both are coming and investing in Dubai. So Dubai has been always about safety. It's been always about security. Safety, personal safety, but also safety of investment and future. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid last year announced the new master plan of Dubai that I'm going to share here today, 2040. And the idea is to double our population. The idea is to increase our economic centers from 3 to 5. The idea is to double our greenery. The idea is to make sure that people are not living more than 800 meters far from public transport. So we are rethinking how we want our cities. And the slogan and the motto of this campaign or this master plan is to be the best city on earth for living. So how do we make sure that how we translate this into action? This means we need to rethink everything we do. How we bring the concept of 15-minute city into concept, how we make sure that everything is walkable and bikeable 15 minutes away from you, your school, hospital, education, grocery, everything is 15 minutes away. Now the oil prices is going up. We don't need cars, right? Or we need to rethink how we build cities. Instead of focusing too much on cars, we want cities that apply sustainable transport, or we call it mobility. So we need to move from transportation to mobility. It's not about getting from point A to B by car. It's about how we can get from A to B without harming our environment, at the same time costing us less. And the third, don't forget, our health. COVID has taught us something, that our health is precious. The 6 million people who died, the 600 million people who got infected, tell us that our environment has an impact on us, right? How we live, it's impacted by our environment. And we've seen, and maybe Ayman a little bit talked about that, we've seen a trend in COVID. A lot of people moved from city centers to the suburbs of the cities, from smaller apartments to bigger villas, from apartments without greenery to apartments with a greenery. It's okay, take your time. I gave 6 speeches this week, so I know how it will look like. So from smaller balcony to bigger balconies, we now are enforcing on buildings to adopt WELL designation, WELL Health and Safety. Dubai is going to be, we're part of something called Circular Economy Committee. Now Dubai is looking at how we transform sustainability into a commercial business. Sustainability is not about environment, it's not about clean air, that's part of it, but it's about social, it's about economic, and how we combine economic competitiveness with social, with environment, and how we at the end provide a better planet for our grandson and grandchildren in the future. So this is the whole idea of what we're trying to do. Okay. Remind me. Okay, so we're still in the east. Let's go to the west, but not the war, please. I'm not going to talk politics today. But what I want to say is that Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations adopted in 2015, I was part of SDG number 11, which is about how we build sustainable cities and communities. And we've seen that COVID actually had impacted SDGs negatively. Before COVID, we used to say we need $2.5 trillion of investment to bridge the financing gap of SDGs. Nowadays, we say on the top of that, we need $1.7 trillion. So COVID has impacted economies. And also the word that I want you also to really think about is crisis and risk. And this is the new normal. If you go, there is a global report called the Global Risk Report by the World Economic Forum. And this is a yearly report. Go there and you'll see 70% of the future risks are about social and environmental risks. And this is the new normal. Before COVID, only 51% of businesses had a business continuity plans. This is not good, right? They were not ready for a disruption. But now the new normal is that we need to build resilience into the DNA of our organizations, and actually before organization, into our DNA as a human being. We need to be resilient, we need to be strong, we need to be what Nassim Taleb called anti-fragile, which is, you know the difference, right, between being a resilient is, okay.
You've got your presentation. We made it.
I almost finished.
We made it happen. Let me get you the clicker. Here you go.
So resilient means we'll be under stress. When we're under stress, we try to regain our initial form. So being resilient means, yes, we'll be under stress, under pressure, but you have the strength and power to go back to where you used to be. But in Dubai, we don't believe in that. We believe, no, the crises are opportunities for growth and for future. And anti-fragility means you build into the DNA of you and your organization and your city and your country an opportunities to make and turns crisis into opportunities. The way they write a crisis in Chinese is two symbols. I'm not Chinese, but I was told 10 years ago that my name, Mahmoud, means the winning horse. So I'm very glad that this is part of Chinese. But the crisis, when it's written in Chinese, it has two symbols. One resembles opportunity, and the other one resembles risk. So in every crisis, there is opportunity. At personal level, at city level, at country level. And this is VUCA, You hear the VUCA, right? This is the world that we're living in now. It's a VUCA world. It is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. This is the future. We need to get used to it. We need to build the strategies to be ready for the future crisis. And these are the global report, the global risk report. If you see, all the green are environmental risks that are going to be the future. And the orange are the social. So almost 8 out of 10 are environmental and social risk. 83% of executives who were interviewed in this report of the World Economic Forum say they are worried about the future. Are you worried? Why we're not worried here about the future? You worried? It's normal. Very normal to be worried. If we're not worried, then we need to be worried that we're not worried. But we are worried, yes. But I tell you, and being close to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed in many occasions, I remember 2010-11, he called government officials to his palace in the mid of crisis, the mid of Arab Spring at that time. And he said, why do you think I'm bringing you here? And everyone was saying Arab Spring, others were saying because of economic crisis. He said, no, I want the 3 innovative ideas from each one of you. Change or you will be changed. Simple. So we're not worried. So said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So here in Dubai, we are in a business of creating future. We don't wait for the future to come. We bring it to the present. Okay? Look down. This is very familiar scenes, right? We've seen. You know, one of the most touching moments of my life, seeing Sheikh Zayed Road empty. And it's still deep into the memory. But that reminds us of something. The social animal we are. We as a human being, right? So, and all of a sudden we started talking social distance. Stay home, stay safe, don't shake hands. By the way, last 2 days I shook hands with maybe 500 people. So my wife said, don't come close. But anyways, I feel it's the end of it. So human beings are social animals. We were social before we were human, right? So when we talk about sustainability, don't forget the social element. And with COVID, we need to reinforce this message that we need to work on the social sustainability of our planet. If you read this article, Foreign Policy Magazine, March 2020, how the globe will look like post-COVID. This is really an interesting article that I keep going back to. So they're saying that our globe will be a lot of, tension, less about America, more about China. They talk about less about profitability, more about sustainability. And we started to see like a movement towards sustainability, driven and pushed by millennials, but also from governments. Here in the UAE, we announced that by 2050 we'll be a carbon neutral country. We announced recently Dubai Khan initiative. The government is and the government's engineer are very forward-looking. So this is the $1 trillion I told you. We need about $4.5 trillion if we add all these things, if we want to achieve the SDGs. But let me remind you of Africa, so from east to west, and why this is in the context of building cities. We're living in Dubai, but we don't forget we're part of a globe. And this globe has so many challenges, and one of them is actually economic challenges in Africa. So 836 million people are still living in poverty. And when we talk about poverty, we're talking about $2 per day. So they don't even have that. And we're very lucky to have that, right? So we have to be thankful to God, and we have to be always giving back to our peers. 828 million people still living in slums, and we look at them from our high and tall buildings, right? 65.3 before the Ukraine war. So you add 4 million, we're talking about almost 70 million people who are called refugees, with no home, with no hope, with no opportunities. Okay? Disasters, the frequency of disasters has doubled recently. And this is why we always need to get used to the issue of crisis. That's fine. Let's accept them and work with them, be ready for them, and leave the rest to God, right? We need to be worried, but not too worried. Income inequality is worsening not only in Africa, but also worldwide. And COVID has actually deepened that inequality. And this is an alarm for us to think about. And there is something called the digital divide. And what is digital divide? Digital divide, 2/3 of kids who are at the age of schools don't have access to internet in their schools. And that means that they will not get a good education. And that means that this inequality even will worsen and worsen. So we're talking about all these realities, and not to upset you and not to make you sad. At the end, we'll talk about promising story and future that we all can co-create. So cities are facing also 100 million in new poor and post-COVID era. So even within cities, some people are getting into poverty. Okay. Here in Dubai, we celebrated Expo, which is about connecting mind, creating opportunities. Okay, and the whole idea of Expo is actually focusing on sustainability, mobility, and opportunity. So how we take all these aspects in one go. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about the resilience of Dubai. And we've seen it, right, in the crisis, but this is how Dubai used to be, from fishing village, especially for our guests who are coming from abroad. This is how it used to look like long time ago. Okay, so just imagine, and a lot of people think we have a lot of oil now. Currently, oil is almost 0% of the GDP of Dubai. So it's not about resources, it's about leadership. It's about vision. It's about believing in what you want to do. It's not the strongest of spaces who survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. So we need to embrace change. We need to have a plan for everything. We need to be ready for the future. Okay, so this is also old pictures of Dubai, Sheikh Zayed Road and the clock tower and so on. And this is Dubai Airport. I always bring this picture because that tells you how much resilience has been built in this city. This is Dubai International Airport in 1960s. 2 airplanes leased from Pakistan Airlines, an airport that opens at 7 a.m. and closes at 2 p.m. Okay. So if your flight lands at 3 p.m., you don't have someone to stamp your passport. No, I'm not sure. Okay. But this is how we have now 200 destinations, and this is resilience, this is leadership, this is vision, this is future. Okay. This is the marina, right? For those who ask about marina, this is how it used to look like. I used to study in the American University in Dubai. We used to see nothing. We used to see Burj Al Arab from the university. Now we don't see it. And this is how this, so just the 2 pictures tell you the story. It's not about buildings. Whenever I post this in LinkedIn, I see a lot of people like it, but some people from somewhere say, oh, this is building, this is money, this is not vision. No, actually, it's not about business, it's not about money. A lot of countries have money, but they don't have the right leadership. They don't have the right will. They don't trust their system. What we created in here, back to real estate. And how much time I have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Go for it. It's all yours.
The first law we thought about when I joined RERA was the trust account law. And we've chosen trust because we wanted people to trust us, to invest in Dubai, in our country. So we said, let's give them a trust account. So their money will not go to the developer. Their money will go to an account that is managed by the government. So creating trust is part of this as well. We embrace sustainability. This is how we want Dubai to look 2040. Doubling the greenery, being close to public transport, 5 economic centers, and this has been announced by Sheikh Mohammed. So we need to wait for 2040 and see. And you're used to Sheikh Mohammed. I think this may be achieved before 2040, right? And this is the new initiative, Dubai Can, which is about also cutting on plastic use. And there's so many other initiatives the government of Dubai is working on. So when you look at the city, it's like reading the hopes, aspirations, and pride of everyone who built it, okay? So we look at the city as hopes, dreams, quality of life, 217 nationalities. Everyone is part of building this city. recently we signed into the UN the City We Need campaign. So I don't want to go through all of them, but this is how we're thinking about the future of our cities and our countries. First, the city we need is healthy and promote well-being. See, so the health now is on the top agenda. So how we build cities, how we design them in a way that they become healthy, this is a focus. Peace and safety, climate adaptation and resilience, inclusion and gender equality, economic opportunities, all the way to learning, innovation, culture, identity. So these are the pillars of the future of cities. And these are the areas that we're focusing on and we need to focus on. And this is the model we built. The future of cities should be built on an active government that is not just facilitator. Government should not be facilitator. Government should not be looked as the tax collector. Government should not be the regulator. Government should be enabler. Government should be partners. And this is the government 2.0. Quality of life beyond economics, social life, environment. And I will talk about environment in a couple of slides, economic sustainability and market resilience. So I think the formula for future success is about combination of resilience, sustainability, and digital transformation. This is the combination of what makes a competitive firm, a competitive city, a competitive country. We've done a lot of research in Dubai, and we've seen that people look beyond buildings to the total offerings of the neighborhood. So neighborhood is important and becoming more important. It's not about building, it's about the neighborhood. And the offering, government role should be more important and beyond facilitator, peace and security. We cannot overemphasize, this is SDG number 16, right? But it's very important. And we've seen that we cannot be sustainable if we have wars. And we hope that all wars end and we live in a more peaceful world. Healthy cities is a new concept we need to work on because we've seen that our health is impacted by our environment. And we have the highest obesity rate worldwide in the Middle East. And why? Because we don't walk. Our cities don't foster walking and biking. Now we are shifting thinking. So, and new research finds that the green buildings can increase our health income. We've seen also some research by Harvard that countries and cities who have higher air pollution had higher death rates in COVID. So this study was done at the beginning of COVID, and we need to go back and check it again. But there is a relationship between our health and our environment. Okay, so I like to bring quotes from time to time. So cities have the capacity of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everyone for everyone. And this is about inclusivity. And if we read, there is a book called Why Cities Fail. Cities fail and nations fail when they build exclusive rather than inclusive institutions. There is a book that says Why Nations Fails, a 500 years history of failure of cities and countries. And there is one common theme among all those who failed. The ones who built exclusive institutions for very few people, these are the countries that failed. But countries who build an inclusive economy that everyone is part of it, these are the countries that survive. Dubai focused so much on technology, will be the first city outside US to operate driverless vehicles, robo-taxis. Sheikh Mohammed has been always focusing on smart city, even before COVID. So if you remember when COVID was there, started, closed down, we used to have real estate transactions. A buyer from Kazakhstan, a seller from the US, the property in Dubai, deal is done in one day. So we invested in the digital infrastructure. And this is, again, as I told you, pillar of competitiveness. Build your digital infrastructure. And this is why we have 24/7 hours government. 2013, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed said, I want a government that is 24/7, hospitable like hotels, accurate like banks, that never sleeps. And this is the government, this is the 2.0 government. Okay? And we always say, and Sheikh Rashid, the father of Sheikh Mohammed, said, what's good for business is good for Dubai, and what's good for Dubai is good for business. And this is something also has been overemphasized and we will see more of it, actually, how Dubai become, it's not about buildings. Dubai is a place for a lot of companies now who want to operate from Dubai. I have a lot of European friends who came to Dubai. They're running business in Europe, but their office here in Dubai. And they have no contracts in Dubai. But they like the city, like the ease of doing business here in the city of Dubai. We are affordable, and, right? You agree? I mean, it depends how we define affordability, but a lot of indices shows that we are an affordable city, and there is something called UBS bubble or real estate bubble index. We are undervalued. So Dubai is in the green, and it's undervalued. This means what you have in Dubai is not reflected in the prices of properties in terms of residential or office. So we are still undervalued. Yes, the prices went up, as Ayman said, in the last years, but we are still affordable by international means. Okay? So I added affordability. So these are the key pillars of the future. I have 3 minutes. So it's a combination of resilience, sustainability, affordability, digital transformation. That's what makes great cities. That's what makes great countries. A city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. And this is how Dubai always works. We are inspired by people. We want always to make sure that we create a life that everyone wants to live. In the city we need, and the city that we want. And what is the city? As Shakespeare said, what is the city but the people? Okay? We want cities that inspires curiosity, trust, cooperation. We want a city that has common areas, public places where people can connect, where people can socialize, people can walk, can move. And this is, I mean, it can be done. If you go to Amsterdam, this is how Amsterdam used to look like a long time ago, 50, 60 years ago. Cars and not sustainable, but it took leadership and culture change to transform Amsterdam into one of the most sustainable cities. 70% of trips now are made by bicycle and walking. And this is the kind of city we want to work towards. What we're missing, this is before COVID, we're missing social dimension. And we need to work more on it because with closer proximity, again, this is before COVID. I think now we need to keep a distance. But closer proximity to people means we will be healthier, we'll be also happier, as the research shows. Okay? So this is the kind of cities we want, and this is the space that cars are taking from our cities, and this is how much we can save in space and emissions and pollution if we become more sustainable in terms of using sustainable modes of transport. This is a guy I met, he's a great guy, talks about cities for people, how we build cities and redirect them from focusing too much on cars to cities for people, okay? A developed country is not a place where poor have cars, it's where the rich use public transport. So that's the future. We need to work more on our public transport infrastructure. And if you plan cities for cars and traffic, you get cars and traffic. If you plan them for people, you get people and places. So again, this is, I'm almost in the last few slides. And so we need to invest in green infrastructure. We need to invest in happiness. And last slide, last 2 slides. We've talked a lot about outside. Let's go inside. We spend 90% of our time inside buildings, right? So what kind of lighting we have, what kind of air quality we have. They found actually that pollution inside buildings is 2.5 higher than outside. So we need to look at what kind of materials we build, what kind of air quality we have, and we also need to think about our health. 60% of women that are overweight are in the UAE. 60% of women that, I don't know why he focused on women, this research, but even men, right? So we have an issue with our health because of the way we build cities. So we need to rethink cities. We need to think and rethink our behaviors. I took you east and west, right? Dubai, Africa, US. I took you from resilience to sustainability, to digital transformation, to affordability. So many small stores, but at the end, what I want to reach is that we need to rethink how we build our cities in a better way, putting the health of people at the heart of it, and not forgetting the social and environmental aspect as much as we care about economic growth and future. If it's not for us, it's for the future generations, for your kids and your grandkids. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Mahmoud. Does anyone have questions? Wow. Oh, there we go. Okay. Shy people in the room.
I teach at the American University in Dubai, so I'm used to questions. Please
Thank
ask.
you. I really, you spoke my heart, like from end to end. I had a presentation sometime back at an event. I started playing United Nations video showing all the floods and wildfires, and people started leaving the hall. So as you said, it's really sad. Yeah, it's very worrying. But the picture you have showed and with the leadership we have in the UAE, we are really hopeful. It's amazing. Now my question. My question is, I have a development background, sustainable development background. I have worked with United Nations and Al-Khan Development Network, and I have 8 sustainable businesses in UAE. I'm in the business since 2013. Recently, we have started, I'm not sure if you've heard of Flow Water. Flow Water, yeah. So Flow Water is one of my businesses. So we are struggling with water and drain connection in big buildings, commercial buildings, hospitals, schools. This is something I'm not sure it's been, somebody has communicated this feedback from the public to you when you are talking about sustainable businesses. Of course, we want to get everything inside, like we have amazing Diva connection, which is good quality water. But again, to improve it, people would like to connect those to equipments and technologies that will transform it to, even healthier water. So we don't have these. How are you, do you have any plans? Like for me as a business owner, shall I expect any improvement? We lost many projects because we couldn't get the water and drain connection.
Mm-hmm. There is a committee now in Dubai government, the Circular Economy Committee, and we have a common theme between Dubai Municipality and Land Department and DIWA. And we're working on this. So I would love to take your card and involve you in the project.
Oh, I would love to be there.
Yeah, we started about a month ago on it, and
Excellent.
soon we will have a campaign on it. So
maybe I can get back to those, potential customers after
Sure.
1 month.
yeah,
Thank
but I would
you.
love to take your card and
Yeah,
connect
sure,
you with our colleagues in the Executive Council.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, go for it.
But more of a, I just wanted to thank you for your segment. It was amazing. And being a child of Dubai, born and raised here, I literally could connect to all of the old pictures that you had put out there because I've seen it grow. And it reminds me of my podcast with you, Daniela. It makes me so proud to be a part of this city. And like we do at the Dubai Businesswomen Council, we tell everybody that it's all about the leadership. It's the vision of the leaders here that got us to where we are. Whether you're a woman or a man, regardless of your nationality, cultural background, this country has been built on tolerance, and it has been built on the vision of a leadership that is phenomenal. And I think Dubai should be an example for the rest of the world. So thank you so much for sharing all this great knowledge with us. And we're very happy to have you here. And I'm just very, very proud. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we all need to be proud, right? But I'm sure you were not at the time of Dubai airport. Okay. Thank you so much. And this is, we're lucky to have the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, Sheikh Khalifa, the President, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, and Sheikh Mohammed Zayed. And you can see the momentum and dynamics and the amount of work. And actually, in the middle of this, we don't forget giving back. So yesterday I was in Sheikh Mohammed's office talking about future projects in Ramadan, and there is one campaign that Sheikh Mohammed announced recently, the 1 billion meals campaign. And I was with his team working on how we get businesses to be more involved. And there is a group that Sheikh Mohammed is going to announce soon to be a circle of all the influential philanthropists and charity people. And we think always beyond Dubai and UAE. I mean, where do you find the leadership that does not only care about people and residents of this country? They think beyond. They think of people in Africa, how we reach Africa, how we reach Asia, how we help here and there. So we're setting an example that we can be economically vibrant and prosperous at the same time. We don't forget our global citizenship mandate of taking care of whoever we can take care of if they need. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. Mohammed, thank you very much for the presentation. It was absolutely wonderful to hear the plans for the future of Dubai. And you so beautifully pitched the old and the new together. I had just one question, though, surrounding smart cities. Yes, to build on the new and to get all the right infrastructure in place, keeping all the parameters that are mandated, is something doable. But what about what has already been built? Is there anything that Dubai is doing to address them and reducing their carbon footprint?
I mean,
Thank
definitely.
you.
I mean, you know that half of the, or more than half of carbon emission coming from buildings, and we consume more energy. So we work now in Rerun Land Department and Dubai Municipality on cutting energy costs and retrofitting existing buildings, and as well as we're working on integrating them in the future development. So future, we're kind of taking care of. We have a green code. We have so many things on energy saving and water. And now we're talking about tap water. It's safe to be drank, but we need to make sure that we have the necessary steps that everything is healthy and clean. So for existing infrastructure, it's a huge. We're talking about 600,000, 700,000 apartments and units that we need also to look at how we retrofit them, how we advance them. And there are a lot of companies now, they come and they partner with us. We have a program called GAIN, where they go into a building and whatever they save from energy, water, resources, they take part of it as a motivation. So yes, we don't forget the existing stock. It needs to be rethought about the quality of building, the quality of materials. So we're going back to that, but also we make sure that any new stock comes to the city is meeting minimum standards of green, sustainable, and smart.
Dr. Mahmoud, Doctor, I have a question for you. It was a pleasure to have heard you speak, and I'm sure that the audience agrees that what you shared with us is both inspirational and it's very insightful to know about the transition and what the future plans for this country are, both for people, infrastructure, and environment. And I know personally, because I've been a LinkedIn connection of yours for quite a while, I really enjoy seeing your content. And I know that you are a university professor and you teach students about what you shared with us in these wonderful 30 minutes. And I was wondering, how do you actually involve young people and students in these plans, given that we already go through simulations such as Model UN, debates, we already tackle these problems and we already come up with tangible solutions. But to what extent can we partake in this drastic change, I would say, that is coming up soon?
Thank you, great question. And I mean, actually I started as a student at the American University in Dubai 2000 and graduated 2006. Then Sheikh Mohammed at that time told me, go and do your master's in Singapore in real estate. I came back, he said, no, you have to keep doing your education. So I finished 4 or 5 master degrees and 1 doctorate, and I cannot finish because he told me never stop. So kind of order. So at the American University in Dubai, we started something called the Middle East City Center. And this city center is focusing on sustainability and getting students and academia to support SDGs. And the City We Need campaign actually has been launched from that center. I teach 5 courses each term, around 150 students or so. I make sure in every single class I teach, even if it has nothing to do with sustainability, I always talk about SDGs. I always talk about sustainability. I always give them a project that's related to sustainability. And I see now my students are heroes. I tell them, everyone will get good grade, But for me, the good grade is you go back to your company. If it's your own, then you're the decision maker. Be the hero, be part of this SDGs journey and sustainability. If you're not, then be the change. Go back to your company and convince them to be better global citizen. And I also try to involve them in the different networks in sustainability. They attend events. I'm proud that few of my students started their sustainability businesses. And one of them is Mariam Al-Janebi, who's doing a company called Nabta, greenhouses and organic food. And so a lot of them actually have been, I mean, for me, the success is how many I turn into ambassadors for sustainability. They start with a session knowing nothing about sustainability, not even a definition, and they end up now fighting for it. I had a lawyer student who's a lawyer in the IFC, and she said, I'm a lawyer, how can I be part of it? I said, that's easy. You can be part of it because sustainability is not only about environment. You can be advocate for gender equality. You can go and fight for women. You can fight for women rights in starting businesses. You can change laws, regulations. You're part of Expo legal team. You can do 1, 2, 3. So everyone can be part of this journey. Student, big, old, male, female. We're all part of it. And there is a space for everyone. And there is a scope for everyone. So even if we cannot take action ourselves, at least talking about it and inspire other people to do something about it can be a good thing. Thank you. Thank you.